What is up, friends? So here you go, Justin Wagner, Team ODZ. We are doing quick webcam comparison. Why? Because I wanted a second webcam, couldn't figure out which one to buy. Couldn't buy another Logitech C920 online because they were really hard to come by. So here we are down this rabbit hole evaluating webcams because I'm an engineer. So a couple things we want to compare. We want to talk about lag and delay. We're going to talk about color. We're going to talk about field of view. So one of the things I first noticed when I was comparing the Logitech and the EMeet C960 was that there seemed to be a pretty big delay in difference in lag. Okay. Now you can notice these videos, they're pretty close. Okay, between the Logitech and EMeet C960. Well, the reason that first video was so different is I had the resolution / FPS type in OBS set to device default for Logitech and for the EMeet webcam, and so that came out to being, look at this. Ooh, when you have the resolution and FPS type set the same, I'm not sure what it set that, but look at this. Okay, you see the massive difference now between the EMeet C960 and the Logitech. Okay, now if I just hard code, and we go custom 720, okay, look, they're already a lot closer. So not sure what's going on there, but obviously we can go all the way up to 1080. So I'm just gonna run them. I'm running them all at 720. So we got that one at 720. I believe we're gonna change the Logitech back to 720. Okay, so that was a learning experience I had, that changing the resolution setting has a big effect on the lag and latency. Now you see there's already not much of a difference between the Logitech and the EMeet C960 like there used to be, just in how we were changing, and it might have to do with encoding profiles, not sure, but that was just a setting in OBS. Obviously, if you're using different software, you'll notice something different. But also there's a setting in the webcam properties for buffering, and I've purposely gone through all of them, and I've disabled buffering on all of them to try to get them as close as possible for the lag and delay and frame rate. So here you go. We're going to do this lag and frame rate test. So I think I've got them all actually pretty darn close. I still think the Logitech edges it out a little bit, but honestly, not as big of a difference as I saw in that first video once I've gotten these settings honed in, right? So that EMeet's pretty dang good. Okay. What else do we want to talk about? Okay, color. So I've tried to play with white balance. I've tried to play with saturation on these cameras. Kanya obviously still feel like no matter what I do in this video, I mean, those colors are bright. Maybe that's what I want. Maybe that's good. But I do feel like I just keep having to move this saturation down. Okay. And even if I move this down, saturation down, I feel like it still ends up creeping its way back up. Maybe it's a little bit too muted now. Let's go back to the video. Let's turn its saturation up a little bit. Okay. So obviously there's a rabbit hole here. We could spend all day, but okay. What other settings do we got? So I played with white balance. Some of them have white balance set, some of them manual, some of them automatic, depending on what I felt like the camera was doing best. And it's not all the same between the four of them. So just know that playing with the white balance. Another thing I've noticed, which is interesting on the Logitech has a couple extra features. The others don't. It has a zoom. Boop, built into the camera control. Okay. And I'm not sure if that's just a digital zoom or if that is actually a optical zoom. Probably just digital. Maybe it's just a cropping and it's not actually optically changing anything. It kind of feels like when you're looking at that, it's just a digital zoom. I think it is. And then there's a focus here. Okay. So none of the others have an autofocus feature, but notice, like, if I go really close to the camera here, we can get that to focus on my hand. Oops, maybe. Oop. So honestly, I never really trusted the autofocus. So you can see it kind of goes out, catch my face. Honestly, I just always have left it on a fixed focal length because I'm usually streaming at the same distance and I don't want it to mess around. But that is something, I feel like one of the downsides of that is that I feel like when you get over here in the video, I'm already I'm very, if I look at myself in the Logitech video, I'm kind of like blurry, right? But in the middle, I'm not as blurry. Okay. So I feel like the Logitech has a hard time focusing on these outer perimeters. And the other ones don't. I feel like the other ones are kind of in focus everywhere. Maybe it's just because they're kind of like rummy all the way around, because I feel like the Logitech should have a better lens than the other ones. But honestly, I kind of always felt like I was fighting the autofocus. So maybe not having to play with focus at all is a benefit. Don't know. Obviously, I'm not a camera expert. I do have, we want to talk a little bit about color. So we talked about white balance and we talked about playing saturation. So here I'm gonna hold up a few different items, kind of get some color comparison. So this is just a red item I had sitting around, see how the color looks in these different ones. Okay, there's a red. Obviously got the blue and orange from ODZ. Those are the colors we probably care about the most, at least like our guys. So here we go, let's hold up a red and yellow bottle. Okay. Okay, yeah. And just a straight, here's a black shirt. See who gets black's best. So that Logitech's got a pretty nice true black, but maybe it's just kind of darker overall. I do feel like the Logitech is a little bit darker. Maybe it's just because the lighting in here. Maybe if I had better, maybe it's just I'm doing bad lighting job. And the other ones are compensating for the bad lighting. I'm not sure, but we can go into the Logitech, and it does have a setting for backlight compensation. So if I turn off backlight compensation, there's that. Turn it on. So I actually have backlight compensation turned on. So their backlight compensation turned on or off. I went for on just to get a little bit of a brighter image. But and here we went to their automatic white balance versus what it was set. Maybe the automatic's actually better. I don't know. I always felt like these automatic ones, when I would start streaming or something would change, it would just kind of mess with my green screen. So I've never left those on automatic. At least not, I haven't historically. The other piece we wanted to hold up here, color comparison was just hold up here a piece of white paper. Now this obviously has to do with how I have the white balance set on all of them. Maybe I don't have the white balance set quite right, but there you go. We'll do the white piece of paper, see how they all compare the color. Lastly, we want to talk about field of view. The Logitech C920 does have the smallest field of view of these four cameras we're comparing. The EMeet C960 has very wide range of view. So I feel like if you really wanted to, you use the EMeet C960 and like prop it down wherever you want. Maybe you don't want to be cropping it down, but you could, you can capture wide field of view, which I think is a benefit for streaming. You don't have to worry so much about distance. I kind of fight with the Logitech sometimes with my streaming on a bike, fight it catching my full range of motion because it just doesn't quite see that far. So that could be a benefit. But then you also fight the struggles of needing a green screen that big with that big of a field of view. So that's a struggle. Now, the TaoTuo and the Kanya down below look very, very spot on in terms of their field of view. Okay. But there you have it. I do kind of feel like the trueness of the blacks and stuff of that Logitech probably is the best. But you got some pretty serious contenders, and I just wanted to point out in my first video we showed that lag frame rate difference, but I don't think it's as big anymore now that I've kind of got the different settings fine-tuned with resolution, etc. So hopefully this is useful. It's for my own benefit. Really, I've been learning a lot about the different camera settings in OBS. Also, this whole time we've had the same sharpness filter in OBS turned on all the cameras. Just FYI, sharpness set at 0.19. Other than that, no, let me just validate that. No other filters turned on. But yeah, so if you happen to be looking for a new webcam for whatever reason for streaming, this is kind of my thoughts and impressions. It is what it is. But the good news is there's a lot of flexibility in OBS, and you can feel like you can do a lot of settings to really fine tune these things. And some of the cameras have more options than not. but you can get a pretty good thing for a pretty inexpensive price. So don't need to be go out and spending $150 to get a Logitech C920 used right now, because that's what everyone's selling them for because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But anyways, I ramble a bit, but hopefully this has been useful. So there you go. If anybody was curious, I hope this helps you out.